Hey geeks, welcome to another exciting episode of Rockin the Code World with dotNetDave. I'm David McCarter. I'm glad you're all here. And I woke up this morning with a tsunami warning. I live near the beach in San Diego, California, and I don't ever recall getting a tsunami warning here, but maybe we've had, but um, I've never had one. It's all along the entire United States West Coast. So I guess there was some big earthquake or something off the coast of Tunisia. So that's our morning. So we'll see how big the waves get here. It'll be exciting. And how's the first 2 weeks of 2022 working out for you guys? Let me know. Put something in the chat. It's been kind of crazy here in America with COVID and everything else going on. So, am I blurry? Anyway. So today my guest is Daniel Roth. He's a principal programmer at Microsoft. He's the PM for the Blazor team. So I'm really excited to have him here because Blazor is so popular. And so if you have questions about Blazor, this is the show to ask them. So please put in your questions now for Daniel. It'll be a fun show. It'll be fun to catch up with Daniel. And so let's get going. So if I get on the right screen, that would help, wouldn't it? So don't forget, not next week, but the week after, January 24th, 26th, at the .NET Conference 2022 virtual conference. I'm really excited to work on this show with Simon, my producer. It's been interesting, but I think we have a great lineup of speakers and sessions. And the way we've kind of segmented out the conference is that most of the first day is all ASP.NET, Blazor, those kind of sessions. Most of the second day is all C# things, all new things about C#, Visual Studio, object-oriented programming, all those kind of cool things. And then the last day is mostly all cloud stuff. So you can kind of focus on 1 or 3 days or 2 days, depending on what your interests are currently. So it's going to be really fun. So make sure you put that in your calendar now. It's going to be a great, fun conference. I can't wait to present this with CSharpCorner for you guys. We've been working on this thing for months, so I'm excited to do it. So go there, dotnetconference.com. Also, I'm doing a very special show. I don't know if you people out there know, but especially you younger people out there know, but Microsoft.NET's 20th anniversary is actually on February 13th. Yeah. Woo-hoo. I can't believe it's been 20 freaking years already. Actually, I've been using it for 21 years. Because I was teaching and in production with beta 1 of .NET. So it's been a long, gosh, I can't believe it's been so long I've been using .NET. But anyway, I'm going to do a panel show with really popular people in the .NET world. I have Carl Franklin. I'm sure most of you all know Carl Franklin. A lot of you know Joe. He's spoken here too. He's the organizer of the Phoenix Code Camp. And I go most years when they have it because Phoenix is about 6 hours away from me. And that's where I grew up in Arizona. So, and I'm working on some more fun guests I'll be announcing soon. So put that on your calendar, February 12th, the day before the anniversary of .NET. So it's going to be fun. Can't wait. Version 5 of my open source projects are out called Spargene. So if you want to learn more about Spargene, please go to spargene.net. Spargene is basically all the common code I've been writing since .NET 2. So it's all, I have older packages for .NET Framework and .NET Core, but now it's all .NET 5 and 6 now. So I hope you go check it out. If you like it, please let me know. If you don't like it, please let me know. And if you want to help on the project, please let me know. I really need the help. All right. I want to introduce Daniel. Daniel Roth is Principal Program Manager on the ASP.NET team at Microsoft. Gosh, I can't talk today. At Microsoft, specifically working on .NET Web development with Blazor. Welcome, Daniel.
Thank you, Dave. It's great to be here. Hello.
Hey,
Happy
how's
New
it going?
Year. Oh, it's great.
Happy New Year to you too. It's nice to catch up with you. We haven't chatted in a while, so.
Yeah, no, it's great to be on the show. Get to talk a little bit about Blazor. Lots of exciting stuff's been happening recently, so it's
I know
great to be able to share.
Yeah, I'm excited because I haven't done a lot of Blazor lately because I've been doing other stuff, and so you know, I'm getting back to work on one of my projects that uses Blazor, so I'm excited to learn all the new cool stuff about Blazor. But that's all I hear. It's Blazor, Blazor, Blazor. We should make T-shirts. Blazor, Blazor, Blazor. You know.
yeah.
Send the first one to me, and it's so popular. And I was talking. Who was I can't remember who I was talking about recently. But you know, I was just saying I don't like JavaScript, never have, you know, I never learned, and because of that, I never learned it very well. And so that's actually one of the reasons I kind of moved away from, you know, UI about 10 years ago. And I've been waiting for something like this for, you know, 10 years. And so I'm really happy that now we can, you know, do pretty awesome stuff without writing a lick of JavaScript. So yep. That's awesome. So I don't know why I'm so can't talk and kind of confused today. Maybe it's I'm worried about the tsunami, you know. So if my webcam cuts out, you know, I'm swimming.
If you keep looking out your window, like, is there water out there? Is there water? I'm a little further away. I'm in Washington, north, but I'm further away from the coast. So
yeah, and I'm on a hill. Like I'm on a hill, luckily. So the tsunami would have to be pretty damn, you know, high if to hit my house. But you know, maybe I'll have beachfront property, you know, tomorrow morning.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned the 20-year anniversary of .NET. Like that is just phenomenal. You know, 2 decades of you know, .NET framework development and app development, and how much impact that's had. This next month as well. I was just thinking that I think it's the 4 years since we first announced Blazor as an experimental project, like when it went public as something that we were going to start working on. You know, I talked to a lot of people that you know, wonder is Blazor right for me? You know, it seems a little newer. Is it ready? You know, Blazor's been around for a few years now. Like it shipped for the first time in September of 2019.
Yeah,
so it's got a couple of years under its belt. It's part of our latest .NET 6 long-term support release. So it's got a good 3-year support cycle that accompanies it. So yeah, Blazor's come a long way from its humble beginnings when Steve Sanderson first did his, you know, little demo at, I think it was at NDC Oslo back in like 2017.
So, you know, I know a lot of people, even me sometimes, when something brand new comes out for Microsoft, we all kind of go, yeah, we'll see, you know.
Wait for V2. We'll see what the first service pack.
Not only you always wait for version 2, right? You know, you never mess with version 1, and you wait for version 2. But the biggest thing is, you know, is this going to be around for a while? You know, is this going to be a flash in the pan, kind of like Light Switch was, right? Was it Light Switch? Yeah. Was that what was it called?
Light Switch was one of the things that kind of came and went. Yes.
yeah. And there were so many years of build up to that, right? And then it came and gone, you know. And so I think a lot of people kind of wait, you know, including myself sometimes. But you know, that's what I tell people. And this is one of the things I miss about, you know, going to Microsoft once a year because of the pandemic is, you know, when stuff like this comes out at Microsoft, you know, the one thing I do when I go to Microsoft for the MVP Summit is I talk to Microsoft people and I find out if you guys are dog fooding this stuff, right? And if you're dog fooding it, then you know, I've been doing this for a long time, but if you're dog fooding it, that's when I get interested. That's when I start writing about stuff. That's when I start thinking about rolling, you know, that framework or whatever into my college level classes and things like that, right? But I find out if you're dog fooding it, because then I figure it's going to be around for at least 5 years, you know?
Yeah, building it into product, right? Like actually
Yeah.
using it.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
you know, people asked us that about Blazor as well, and we shared some stories at the recent .NET Conf in November. We do use Blazor internally. It's used heavily with internal applications, certainly. We talked about our internal trading compliance app Intract. That's all built with Blazor, but it's also used with public product as well. It's used in like Microsoft Endpoint Manager as part of their like Community Hub feature. And then the Dynamics 365 guys are recently started using Blazor for their new connected store offering. This is an offering that lets you like get real-time insights for traffic and how people are moving around your like brick and mortar style stores. The configuration app and the management app for that offering is all being built with Blazor as well. I've also believe we're exploring using it for like things in Visual Studio now. Like there are parts of Visual Studio today that are already built with sort of a web view style pattern where the UI is actually just an embedded web control. And they're looking at using Blazor in combination with that pattern inside of Visual Studio, similar to some of the Blazor hybrid patterns that we've been talking about with .NET MAUI and with even with Windows Forms and WPF.
Cool. Do you have like a page where you list all the like big companies and projects like this that people can go look at and see companies that are actually using it for real?
Yeah, absolutely. So the .NET site has a customer showcase page that is not just for Blazor, it's like for lots of companies that are using .NET. So you go to .NET/customers. And on there, you can filter for Blazor users. A bunch of those customer stories are actually just being mirrored from the official Microsoft customer user stories page. So customers like GE Aviation, which is like an industry leader in providing solutions for airlines and such. They're using Blazor for their what's called Flight Pulse. It's an app that provides pilots with like real-time data on fuel efficiency and flight efficiency for airplanes. The backend configuration of Flight Pulse was all built using Blazor from a .NET team. They really one of the things they really loved was how with Blazor you have .NET on the server and then you can use .NET on the client, which allows you to do things like share code. Like if you're serializing stuff back and forth, instead of having to rewrite that serialization logic twice, once in .NET and once in JavaScript, you can just use the same types because it's the same serializer, same logic. They really enjoyed that. There was a startup that I think we featured, not at this .NET Conf, but the one previously called The Postage. They actually handle end of life concerns. Like you have all your documents and your passwords and accounts that you want your survivors to be able to have access to. They provide a service that helps pass that information along. They built their UI using Blazor. They have a mobile app also that they built with Xamarin, so it's .NET across the stack. We featured Yeah, that's The Postage. We featured another one. I don't know if we posted this one yet, but Powered for TV is like it always makes me smile whenever we show this site. It's like pro wrestling in the UK, and their whole website is built using Blazor. Yes, that guy. It just cracks me up whenever I see this stuff. Reminds me of my youth. So there's a bunch of customer stories there that you can reference, and there's even some community pages now that are they're maintained by folks in the .NET community, showcasing other people's apps. There's like a built by .NET, and I think Sean Walker's also has a built with Blazor.net or something where people can submit applications that are built with .NET or built with Blazor and show them. So there's some community pages you can go look at as well if you just want to see sites that are built with .NET technologies.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, we need more of that.
It's one of the fastest growing parts of .NET. Like if we look at all the different work, like .NET does a lot of stuff, right? Like every time we have a big conference, we show that slide with like all the different things you can build with .NET. Like you can build anything with .NET, from games to, I was doing some Unity development over my break, which was super fun, doing that in C#, real-time physics and all that stuff. You could do AI with ML.NET. You could do web. You could do You can do client web, you could do server. So all that stuff you can do with .NET. And when we look across all those workloads, like one of the fastest growing parts is the people that are adopting Blazor. I think it's doing quite well in terms of growth. And we just delivered a whole bunch of new functionality into .NET 6. So we're really, really excited to see how that takes off with the Blazor community and the .NET community.
Yeah, we have a question that's pretty long. I don't know if it'll fit on the screen, but basically, I just want to know what's the benefits of C# over other languages, because now you can, coding JavaScript using Node.js, and C# keeps changing. So what, as a person who works for Microsoft, what do you feel about this?
Oh yeah, I mean, I love this question. This is like, why should I use C# instead of something else like JavaScript or Python or whatever? Well, first thing, I mean, it's not just about the language. I mean, there's some really good things to highlight in C# as a language. It does change, but not in breaking ways. Like, it's adding new capabilities, new functionality. Like, we did a bunch of really cool work with the C# team in .NET 6 with the ASP.NET Core team to really simplify web API development. We have this, we call it the minimal API model, which doesn't mean that the API endpoints that you're building are like low in functionality. They're like, full industrial strength web APIs, but the way you write them is just so much simpler by when we had new C# features that enabled a lot of that experience, like doing smarter type inference, smarter handling of lambdas and delegates that really simplified that experience. So C# isn't a living language. It's constantly getting better. So I think that is a good thing. And honestly, the other languages too, they're evolving, they're improving, but they steal a lot of stuff, I would say, from C#. Like all the async await stuff, like that was us. First, we were first. But it's not just the language, it's the whole platform and ecosystem and support. So with .NET, one of the things I would really highlight, of course, is performance. Like if you want, ripping fast performance on your server, maximum throughput that you can possibly get to minimize the number of cores that you need, the amount of memory you need to utilize, it's hard to beat .NET. Like if you go down to maybe C++ or low level, more like system style language like Rust, maybe you could do better than with .NET. But like certainly we trounce JavaScript and Python in terms of
and Node.js too.
Node on the server, JavaScript like that like doesn't even compare. Like .NET is built for speed, and it is part of our culture. Like every release, this is what we do. We make it faster. There were some really great case studies that have been put out by internal Microsoft partners. Like we have big properties in Microsoft that are all built with .NET, like Azure AD. All the authentication goes through this Azure AD gateway, and they were able to dramatically reduce the number of cores that they needed to run that part of the service by from moving from .NET Framework to .NET Core and .NET 5 and .NET 6. Every time they do that, they just get faster, which is phenomenal in terms of lowering their COGS, lowering their cost. And Stack Overflow folks, they moved to .NET Core from .NET Framework, and they know what they're doing. Like they were deep into .NET, so it's not like their .NET Framework code was slow. What was it like? I think it was like their working set utilization when they moved to .NET Core. It tripped some automated test that it was too low. They had this like threshold, like if it's that low, it can't even be working. But it was just that they had moved to .NET Core. So perf, I would say, is a big one. If you want really great perf, .NET is going to be your friend.
And that's another would definitely be definitely for the .NET 5 or .NET Core and .NET 5 and 6. If people just move their C# classes, from or whatever the classes from framework to that, I mean, you're going to instant, performance increase, right? Sometimes very, very dramatic.
Very dramatic. Like the ASP.NET Core was rebuilt from the ground up as a modern web framework for .NET, and it was built for speed. You can strip it down to bare metal if you want just a ripping performance, but you have all the features there to add on as well. It is definitely got performance in its DNA. That's what we really work hard on. And security was the other one I would highlight. Like .NET, just as a platform, is also built with security thought through. Like the way we manage our assemblies, the support guarantees that we give as Microsoft on the platform, patches and all those things, the security features that we offer in the base class libraries for our .NET around encryption and handling all these things, like that is something also that I would highlight as being very good with .NET. And then of course the tooling, like, you know, getting really great Visual Studio tooling with, you know, C# IntelliSense and the debugger and all that experience. I believe it will make you the most productive, like getting your app up and running, have it be secure and performance, like you want it when you're done. .NET, I think, is a real winner. It's not to say that Python, I try not to be like a JavaScript or Python hater. Like, these are great developer ecosystems. Like JavaScript's got lots of stuff. I remember when I started some JavaScript and I was like, I don't know, like function scope variable, like what is wrong here? But, you know, a lot of those stuff has been addressed and fixed, and they have been progressing too. They get better. We have a lot of investment in JavaScript at Microsoft. You know, we ship Visual Studio Code. We do TypeScript. We have a lot of JavaScript stuff too. So I wouldn't feel bad about JavaScript. And Python, also a great ecosystem. Like, a lot of the data science stuff happens in Python. These different frameworks do have different strengths, and you should absolutely use the right tool for the right job. With .NET, our goal is to try and make it that you can build whatever you want, have it be fast and performant and secure with one framework, one set of tools, one language, and that skill set should just carry forward. That's what we try to do. But, you know, use the right tool. It's not
I think you guys do a great job, and I'm going to have to keep that little clip there, because when I try to tell people, you know, why, one of the reasons I not only love .NET, of course, I'm dotNetDave, damn it, but oops, sorry, Simon, I cursed. But you know, we have the cloud, and the whole ecosystem works together, right? And as opposed to a lot of systems that I see, you know, when I go into companies, because I'm a consultant, is they use this for that and that for that, and they spend so much time trying to get those things to work together. And I'm going, well, why aren't you just using Azure and .NET and that's it, you know?
There's a cost, right? Like, I often make the analogy to like human spoken languages. Like yeah, you can learn multiple human spoken languages, and lots of people do. And I have a sister-in-law who knows like 5 languages, because she studied a bunch of languages from the Middle East, and she learns languages really easily. And there's certainly devs that are like that you know, they can learn a language every morning, like David Fowler on our .NET team. I'm sure he can learn languages no problem. But for a lot of us, learning a new language and then is a significant investment. It becomes part of who we are. I think it's very similar with dev languages and tool sets. Like, you have your tool set that's kind of your like what you're fluent in. It's what you're most familiar with, most productive with. If you can carry that skill set forward to other workloads that you want to do, like with Blazor, being able to do client-side web development with the tools that you know and love, that can be a really big productivity win. That's why we built it. That's why we shipped it. Yep,
I agree. So let's get to some of your topics. So let's just go down from the top. The first one is you know, the big thing. There was even a big controversy about it, about hot reload, and so let's talk a little bit about hot reload and why that is so popular and people love it, and let's stay away from the controversy, because I don't care about that.
We fixed it. We fixed the controversy. So the hot reload is this really awesome developer workflow where you want to make your code changes and you want to see them in the running app as quickly as possible. Hot reload allows us to take those code changes and basically sort of inject them into the running application without having to do a full rebuild, shutdown, restart cycle, which can, you know, takes seconds or even minutes or long. I think I heard you were talking earlier about one of the projects you work on, and like maybe it takes an hour or so, hours to get your project to build. Hot reload allows you to make those code changes much faster. It's particularly useful for like UI changes where you want to fiddle with the UI and see it evolve as you're making those changes. So that's what hot reload is. It's a new capability in .NET 6 and in Visual Studio, and we do also support it on the command line. That's where that controversy came from. Should it be there? We do have it in the command line as well. So it just makes you more productive, be able to iterate faster, and it's a cross-cutting feature. It's not Blazor specific. We do support it in Blazor. It's supported in Blazor WebAssembly and Blazor Server. You can use it with ASP.NET Core MVC and Razor pages. You can do it with MAUI and with the other UI frameworks like WinForms, WPF. Across the board, it's a cross-cutting feature where you can apply changes to the running app.
Cool. Simon said, "Why was it removed in the first place?" Probably because of time or something, right?
It was no. There was a question about like do we want it to be? Is it a tooling feature and should be with VS, or should it be? I mean, there's a blog post from Scott Hunter that you should just go read for the official messaging. I'll probably mess it up. Like go read the blog post.
Read blog
post. The community
post,
spoke and said, "No, we want it," and we said,
"Yeah, I know." Okay. Oh my gosh, that was so loud. Oh, it was, for a little while, it's all that. I was going, "What is going on?" It's just like. It's like the world ended or something.
Yeah. We don't always get it right the first time, but we try our best to have a growth mindset.
No one gets it right the first time,
Yeah, but it's there. It's in now, it's just makes your getting started experience much better. Another really cool thing about it is because it's updating the running app, it'll preserve state. So if you're like in the middle of something, like let's say you're deep into your application, like a big complicated form, or like you have like a tree view like UI and you've kind of navigated down and you're at one spot and you're like, oh, I want to just tweak this thing right here. Hot reload will preserve all that app state when it updates the code. It'll basically like kind of replace the old code, new code.
To swap it out,
yeah. And whereas if you had to restart, well, then you have to recreate all that state again in order to see the UI changes. So that can be really, really convenient. It can also kind of like take you by surprise if you if you're not used to the like hot reload flow. You gotta kind of get in a new mental model when you're using hot reload that the app is still there and it has a state. And when you update like one common example is if let's say you update some initialization logic in the application and you're expecting to see that initialization logic run, have its effects appear. Well, if you're doing hot reload, that initialization logic already ran, and it's not going to run again unless you do something to actually trigger it. So you might actually still have to like, do some gestures to cause that code to run, or restart the app even if it's code that's like at the beginning of program main. Nothing's going to like rerun that beginning code unless you cause it to happen. So you do have to kind of think about it a little differently, but it's pretty powerful once you get in the flow.
Yeah. But that just makes development so much easier because you can see what you're actually doing in an actual web page as opposed to a designer or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Because in the early days that was tough, man. Designing web pages and tweak it, build, tweak it, build, tweak it, build, tweak it, build. Oh my gosh, it was very frustrating.
I think if you're coming from a JavaScript background, you kind of almost sort of expect this. Like this is one of the strengths of a language like JavaScript. It's interpreted and they can very easily do like hot module replacement and such. This really gives us that same experience, but now with, the strongly typed C#, the full .NET ecosystem under the covers. It's not just .NET code. We also in Visual Studio have CSS hot reload. So if you want to make edits to your CSS styles,
that's another nightmare.
We'll hot reload those changes into the browser and apply them to the live DOM so you can see the effects of your CSS changes, immediately. That will actually happen like as you type. Like as you're typing, Visual Studio will keep track of things. At least for global CSS files, apply it to the app so you can see them almost instantaneously while you're updating CSS. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool. I want to say hi to everybody saying hi today. I'm glad you're all here. And if you have any questions about for Daniel about Blazor, he's the man. So make sure you post your questions. So let's talk about native dependencies. What's that?
Oh yeah. So this is for Blazor. We have these two different ways of running a Blazor app, right? Like there's you have one set of components. You write your components one way, but you have a choice on how you want to host them. One way you can host them is actually still on the server. We call this Blazor server, where we set up a real-time connection with the browser, and any UI interactions get basically tunneled over that connection. So you click a button. It gets sent over to the server. The Blazor component runs. It renders, figures out how it wants to update the DOM, sends that DOM diff back to the browser, and we apply it for you. So that's the Blazor server model.
And that uses gRPC, right? That tunnel is gRPC, right?
No, that tunnel is actually SignalR. That's
SignalR. I'm sorry.
connection. You can absolutely use gRPC with Blazor, but the connection we use is a SignalR.
Yeah. Okay.
And then in the other way you can do it is you can actually take your components and run them client side in the browser on a WebAssembly based .NET runtime. In that mode, all your code is just running client side. You don't even need .NET on the server. You can deploy the app as like a static site. The app can run fully offline once it's been loaded and cached. Blazor WebAssembly has a bunch of new capabilities in .NET 6, thanks to a tool chain that we built that we call the .NET WebAssembly build tools. You can get these. They're an optional workload component for the SDK. So there's this new command in .NET 6 that's like .NET workload install. So you can install the WASM tools on top of the .NET SDK, or in Visual Studio carries them. You just check the checkbox to say that you want them. And these build tools allow you to do all sorts of really cool new things with specifically a Blazor WebAssembly app. One of them is the ability to just relink the runtime to make it much, much smaller, basically removing stuff from that WebAssembly .NET runtime that you may not be using. We've always had the capability with Blazor WebAssembly apps to trim unused managed code. Like you have a bunch of DLLs, we do the sort of the equivalent of tree shaking in JavaScript. Right. We call it .NET, the linker in .NET land, where we go through all your code and statically analyze it and figure out, well, you're not really using this managed code over here. We can just pull that out, and that way your download size is much smaller. Right. But the runtime was a fixed quantity. There was just this .NET.wasm file. It was about 800 kilobytes, and there was nothing you could do about it because it just had to be there to be able to run any .NET code. Yeah. But like, the debugging capabilities or maybe specific runtime features like globalization features, if you're not using those features in the runtime itself, you were paying for them before with .NET 5. In .NET 6, we can actually relink that runtime, pull that stuff out, and make it much, much smaller.
Oh, cool.
In .NET 5, the smallest Blazor WebAssembly app that you could get, if you just pulled everything out and just had sort of a bare bones app, was about 1.7 megabytes transferred. In .NET 6, it's about a meg. And that's largely thanks to this runtime relinking feature and also a much smarter managed linker. Like we're much better now at looking at all your .NET code and figuring out which stuff that you're not actually using and pulling it out. So your apps are a lot smaller in .NET 6 is really what this amounts to. That's one of the things that these WebAssembly build tools can do.
Cool. Simon is just... I don't know what Simon meant about that last comment. Well, that's good because we always need smaller download size until we all get fiber, lines into our homes, right?
Yeah.
My son's got one. I'm so jealous, and he lives in Austin. He's got one, and they, when I moved in here like 20 years ago, or maybe a little after that, they put in lines on the street, but they never put them to the homes. And so I'm going, okay, well, that was a lot of freaking wasted money, isn't it?
Man. Yeah, there's like fiber lines that are like one street over from my house, but like they're like a corner away, and they're not to my house. So I can't get fiber. Maybe 5G,
ponies up the money.
5G a good replacement for fiber instead? Like so you can get
I don't think so. I mean, I have 5G, and it seems slower. My phone.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, everything seems to be slower on my phone now. It says 5G, and
we can't. There's certainly parts of the world where having fiber or 5G is not an option. Like decreasing that download size and lowering the burden for loading the Blazor WebAssembly apps, obviously just very important across the board. Besides making the app smaller, there are other things that we can do to give you that sort of really quick loading experience. You can pre-render your Blazor apps from the server, like run the components first server side so that initial render is actually, you get a nice big chunk of HTML. You can load that immediately while you're downloading the runtime and the app and then and wiring it up for interactivity. So that can also help with that sort of initial load experience. And if you're really, bandwidth constrained for your clients, then, maybe Blazor Server is actually a better choice, because with Blazor Server, the download size is very small. We just need a little piece of JavaScript to just set up that connection. All the other code just stays on the server. You're basically offloading the app to your servers, which you'll have to pay for that. Like that's your resources now instead of the client resources. But if you're trying to enable that kind of client, a thin client, that might be really nice. If you're trying to push the load from the server to the client, then Blazor WebAssembly would be your friend.
Yeah, I forgot about like mobile apps, and countries that don't have the, what we have here in the US. Also, what's I going to say about size? And the Blazor works on the mobile too, right?
Oh yeah. It's fully open web standard space. So if you have a browser that supports the modern web, you can run a Blazor application. So mobile browsers, desktop browsers, any modern browser can run both Blazor server and Blazor WebAssembly applications.
Yeah, cool.
Like other things that toolchain can do. So in addition to relinking the runtime, we can also do ahead of time compilation with your Blazor WebAssembly app, which is really cool. This is great for like runtime performance. So with the way a Blazor WebAssembly app has traditionally worked is that runtime that we download, that WebAssembly bundle, is actually a .NET IL interpreter. It will look at your .NET assemblies, which have a bunch of .NET IL instructions in them, and it'll just interpret them on the fly.
Right.
There's no JIT. Like, traditional .NET runtime would then JIT that stuff to native instructions for much better performance. That's not really a capability that browsers have today with WebAssembly. So we can't JIT things. But we can do what's sort of the equivalent of like Engine or CrossGen, if you're familiar with those techs in the .NET world, where you basically take your .NET assemblies up front and precompile them into the native instructions of the web, which is WebAssembly. And when you do that, now you get much better runtime performance. The IL interpreter is great for many, many scenarios. Like if you're just doing forms over data, most UI is perfectly fine on that runtime. But if you're trying to do like CPU intensive stuff, like, I don't know, calculating ray tracing or, Monte Carlo simulation, something, very CPU heavy, it will drag. But ahead of time compiled code to WebAssembly will run much, much faster. Like sometimes like 10x the speed of what you would get off of the IL interpreter. Much closer on par to what you would expect from a JIT-based runtime. The trade-off there that some people kind of get confused about is AOT will actually increase the size of the download. And the reason for that is that the IL instructions in your assemblies, they're actually fairly compact and high level in terms of their semantics. When you try to represent them as just low-level WebAssembly instructions, you need more instructions in order to do that. So you need more code, which means bigger download size. So the download size actually does get bigger. It's about a 2x size increase actually for the download size of the app. So there's a trade-off there. If you don't need like to do CPU intensive stuff in a Blazor WebAssembly app, IL interpreter is just fine. Just keep using it. But if you need that runtime performance bump, then AOT is your friend. That's the other thing that you can do with the toolchain.
Is that new?
That's brand new. That's .NET 6. That whole toolchain is .NET 6. So AOT, runtime relinking, and then the last one is actually native dependencies. Like you can pull in native code, and you can use these build tools to link it into the runtime along with the rest of the runtime stuff. Like if you have some C code that you want to run with your .NET app, you can do that. No problem. If you have a library that has a native dependency that's been built to run on WebAssembly, it does need to be compiled in a way that works with like the Inscription-based toolchains. But if you have like a fairly portable piece of native logic, you can then link that into your Blazor WebAssembly app and just use it. One of the demos that Steve Sanderson did both at .NET Conf, and he did a replay of it on the recent ASP.NET community stand-up, is he took SQLite, which is, C library, and compiled it into a Blazor WebAssembly app, and then used Entity Framework Core on top of it to do rich data queries, all client-side in the browser. Fast filtering and stuff he had a big grid of data that he's like querying over and filtering all client-side using SQLite, which was pretty cool.
Wow. Well, I want to get to some questions because we're having some. So what platforms does Blazor support? Sorry, Simon.
The web platform.
The web platform. Well,
wherever the web can run, the modern web, Blazor can run. So we support all the modern browsers, and it doesn't matter what the underlying OS is because Blazor is based purely on those open web standards. So you can run it on a Linux machine, on a Mac, on iOS, on Android, on whatever, as long as you have a modern web browser there that can execute the web application.
Right, and the server can run on Linux too, right? Because it's part of ASP.NET. Yeah.
Blazor is part of ASP.NET Core. Like a lot of people get confused and think it's something separate. No, the component model for Blazor, like system, Microsoft ASP.NET Core .components. that whole namespace and chunk of logic is part of the ASP.NET Core shared framework. So Blazor is part of ASP.NET Core. It's our client-side UI story for web apps in .NET. Yeah, so a Blazor server app literally is just an ASP.NET Core app that is set up with that SignalR hub for the connection to the browser and running all the Blazor components.
Yeah. Oh, and Simon mentioned the average download speed in India is almost 18 megabits per second. So
not everyone's got gigabit internet. We got to remember that. So
I'm going to stop complaining about my internet speed.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, Simon's set up where he is because he's, produces all these shows. But so Simon, what is your speed where you are? Put that in there. Does Blazor support micro front-end architecture? If so, please suggest a way to achieve this.
Yeah, I mean, it does. We don't. So micro front-end is like having like little composite UI, like very similar to the microservice backend. Can you have like multiple pieces of micro UIs that you can then compose together in an application, so multiple teams can be working on different parts and have it all work together. So yes, you can do micro front ends with Blazor. We don't currently have any prescriptive guidance on like the right way to do it. Lots of people have done it, and there's plenty of blog posts and videos and stuff out there with people showing how they chose to do it for their application. We don't have any strong opinions about the way to do it currently. If you are building micro front ends with Blazor and you think you've got a really stellar approach, like, please let me know. I'd love to hear about it. But yeah, we don't have any prescriptive guidance, but you absolutely can do it.
Cool. So Simon said his speed is 200 megabits. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm going to stop complaining about internet speed. Sorry, I'm going to piss off all my followers if I do that. Is that the Blazor train in your background?
That is a Blazor train. These are all my where should I go? This is all my artwork from my wife and kids. I think a couple, at least over a year ago now, that I had some sort of live stream that I was doing, and I woke up in the morning and they had all these pictures pasted all over my office for one of the, I think it was within the Blazor Day the events. So yeah, I've kept them up there. They make me smile.
Well, when one of my favorite T-shirts, because of the design, is when Carl Franklin did that roadshow for Blazor, Blazor Roadshow.
Mm-hmm.
He's got those graphics, so it looks like interstate sign, and I don't know if you've seen it. It's when he did right. It happened. I mean, he did it right as the pandemic was hitting, and so he actually had to cut it short. But yeah, he was touring with via DevExpress, I think, and he had these really cool T-shirts. The Blazor Roadshow. But what was I going to say about that?
And then he did the Blazor Train stuff, like that.
Yeah, the Blazor Train. Then he did
partially inspired.
Blazor Train. Then he did the Blazor Train website, which he's constantly putting out videos for that, right?
Yeah, he does a great job. Lots of great content there.
Yeah. So all of you worried about, Blazor's going to be around. I don't think you have to worry about anything because there's too many people working on it, including popular people like me, Carl Franklin and other, and Michael Washington and all those guys working on Blazor. So I think it's a great platform. I can't wait to get into some more Blazor stuff. And one thing I want to make sure I point out is that, all the major third-party component vendors support Blazor too, right? Telerik, DevExpress, Grape City, all those guys support for Blazor. So if you want to get really, really awesome looking UIs very, very easily, go look at their packages because you're going to save yourself so much time. And I'm bringing it up partially because we talked about this on the show last week about companies don't like to pay for stuff like that, and which I've never understood in my life. But
well, I mean, there's also plenty of great open source free
open source stuff,
Blazor projects out there. Mud Blazor is really great.
Well, Jeff Fritz did a whole suite of controls for Blazor. Jeff Fritz?
He did a bunch of controls that were like basically ports of the ASP.NET web forms,
right?
Web controls, and made Blazor equivalents of them to help people who wanted to try and do a migration from one to the other.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool. So
if you're looking for free open source offerings. There's a nice site at it's the Awesome Blazor repo. So aka.ms/Awesome Blazor. It's just a GitHub repo that the community maintains, but there's a whole listing of Blazor component libraries that built by the community. They even have like a big table that kind of compares them all, what they offer. Those are definitely available. Oh, and we just announced in November the Blazor Fluent UI components.
Wow.
This came from Microsoft's Fluent UI team, which is our sort of our design system that we use for a lot of the big Microsoft products like Office and Teams and these types of things. They had already a set of Fluent UI web components, like just standard custom elements that you could use from any front-end web framework, Angular, React, Blazor. You could just use those directly. What they did is they built Blazor wrappers around their Fluent UI web components and shipped those as a set of Blazor Fluent UI components that you can just use. You can check those out at aka.ms/Blazor-Fluent-UI.
Put it up on the screen.
Oh, there you go. Great. Thank you. Thank you. He's faster than I can.
Simon's fast, you know. Young people are fast. I'm not fast anymore. I'm very, very slow. So any other questions? Because we got to wrap up in a couple minutes. So post your questions quick.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Should we say a few things about like? I just want you to know that things are coming. Like there's more.
What's coming?
That's happened in the past. Like MAUI is shipping in May. And Blazor has deep integration into .NET MAUI. If you don't know what .NET MAUI is, it's like the future of Xamarin. You can build cross-platform UI, native UI with .NET for Windows, Mac, iOS, and Android. And we have a Blazor web view control that we are shipping with MAUI that will allow you to embed Blazor components into MAUI apps. So you can share UI between your web apps and your mobile and desktop apps. We actually have that same Blazor web view control that we're also going to provide for WPF and WinForms. So if you have WPF and WinForms apps and you want to put some Blazor in there, you'll be able to do that too. That'll be mid this year. And then of course, .NET 7 is going to come in November, and we've got a whole slew of Blazor improvements that we're working on for .NET 7. More hot reload improvements, more improvements to AOT. Like one of the things with AOT is we talked about that size bloat. We're going to work on enabling mixed mode AOT, where you can just optimize part of the app by ahead of time compiling it and leave the rest as just assembly. So you can, fiddle with the download size versus runtime performance trade-off. Multi-threading support we're looking at for .NET 7. Hopefully, fingers crossed. It really depends heavily on the browser support for the related standards, but we think that support's coming online. Being able to run multiple Blazor apps in the same page. We started work on being able to take Blazor components and use Blazor components to build custom elements, standard custom elements. So it's kind of the flip of what the Fluent UI folks did. Instead of having Blazor on the outside and a web component on the inside, you build a web component with a Blazor component on the inside. And that will allow you to use Blazor components very easily from Angular and React or any front-end framework you want. Like that package is available for you to use today. It's in preview, but we're looking at shipping a stable version for .NET 7 as well. Lots of stuff. Like we are very busy.
Yeah. I was going to say, how many freaking developers do you have on your team?
An army.
I'm being serious. Do you know how many developers do you have on your team?
So
that works on Blazor?
It's hard to count because it's kind of spread all over the place. Like because there's different pieces in different places. Like there's the folks that work on the component model itself and Razor, and there's like a set of like 4 or so devs that work just on the components. But then there's the runtime, like the WebAssembly capabilities, and there's like a set of folks that work on that. And then there's all the ASP.NET Core fundamentals that we build on, like the Siglar stuff. So it's how you count it. It's a team effort. Let me just put it that way. There's a lot of .NET that is involved in supporting the Blazor effort, as well as supporting other things. We did work with the IL Linker folks to improve linkability of Blazor WebAssembly apps, but that wasn't just for Blazor. Like that equally applied if you're like trying to build a standalone ASP.NET Core exe or a standalone desktop exe. That linkability made those executables smaller as well. So it's all very complementary, I guess I would say.
Yeah, cool. I was thinking when you were talking about all the new stuff about, and I only thought about this because last week, I tried to do something in PowerPoint and frustrated me. I couldn't do it. You can't embed a web page in PowerPoint.
Okay. Yeah.
And I was going, no, I would like to see a live page when I show a PowerPoint slide. You can't do it. So
put a link and click it and then show the browser.
No, I want it in the page, and so talk to them and maybe we can put Blazor components in PowerPoint. Wouldn't that be cool?
Maybe, yeah, that'd be interesting.
Don't know.
Add some UI to.
You guys are doing everything anyway, so why don't do Office?
Yeah. I mean, there are things we. I don't know if you saw the Microsoft Teams folks also now have if you want to build Teams apps that plug into the Microsoft Teams shell. That's a JavaScript based application. Teams is built with Electron, but you can use .NET now to build Teams apps by using Blazor, because Blazor can happily run in that web environment. So that's kind of a close to the Office touch point there. It's with Teams.
Well, maybe Teams would be a little bit better if it was written in Blazor, right?
Maybe. There are a lot of people today that I think are building Electron apps because it's not really another good option for a cross-platform desktop offering. I think MAUI support for desktop with Blazor is going to be pretty cool. People are going to be able to build some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. So, well, I got to let you go. Before I let you go, I want to say I hope you'll check out at least the first day of the .NET conference coming up a little over a week, 9 days,
Yeah,
9 days from today, everybody, and let us know how you like it. I tried to pick the sessions that I think most people be interested in, so I'd like to see your feedback. You can go look at the schedule later, or if you would look at it after I let you go, and we can talk about it after the show if you want. And the last question I ask all my guests is, what do you do for fun besides coding?
I do lots of fun stuff, but one of the things I really enjoy, I'm involved with the first Lego League program, which is kids building Lego robots and competing in competitions with their robots.
I'm so jealous of Lego. When I was a kid, you had to build everything from little blocks. That's all you had, right? When I was a kid, we didn't have all the cool stuff and kits and stuff like you have now, right? And I'm so jealous. And then right when Lego Mindstorm came out, because they put a Lego land right here in San Diego, and I went up there, took my son, and I bought him a Lego Mindstorm kit, which was their first robotic thing, back when he was a teenager. And
it's a super great kit. Like if you haven't played around, I think that the newest kit now is the Lego Spike Prime. They've rebranded now, and it's a pretty sweet piece of tech to teach kids, programming, technology, engineering, design decisions, and first Lego League. If you haven't had a chance to look at it, it's great program. So I coach the team.
I don't think I told my son this, but I joked with my friends. I go, the only reason I bought it is so he could build a little robot to go get the beer from the refrigerator and bring it over to me. That's
answer the door for me.
Well, I gotta let you go before Simon gets mad at me. So I really appreciate you coming on the show. I learned a lot, because I've been kind of out of the Blazor thing for a little bit, but you've got me excited to get back into it. So I'm glad you came on the show, and whenever you want to come talk about Blazor, let me know. You always have an open invitation. Just let me know.
Thank you so much for having me, and happy Blazoring.
Yeah, have a great weekend. It was great. It was great talking to you.
You too.
Thanks, Daniel. Oh, that was a great session. Woke me up a little bit. So it's all gloomy and tsunami here in San Diego today. So let's finish off the show. I want to remind everybody, Daniel talked a lot about performance. And so I have a new page on my website dedicated to performance. It's pretty much all I work and write on, almost. That's all I do these days. And so you all know I'm really big in performance. So I hope you go to that page. There's some free ones, but it's a subscription model, and I hope you'll do that, because I need to save up for retirement. Daniel Roth rocks, and Simon shocked. Wow, somebody's excited. And as every week, everybody watching the show today gets a free copy of Code Rush from DevExpress by going to devexpress.com/dotNetDave. And you get your very own free, real licensed copy of Code Rush from DevExpress. Code Rush is the only refactoring tool I've ever used since Visual Studio was released. I use it every single day I'm coding. It makes me be so much more productive, and it makes me learn stuff too. So it's a great learning tool. So why not download it, give it a try, let me know how you like it. But that's the number. If I could only have one add-in to Visual Studio, Code Rush would be it. So how's that for a recommendation? I did a Twitter poll recently about how would you rate the quality of software apps that you use on a daily basis. Have they gotten better or worse? Because I feel personally the quality of a lot of apps I use and websites have just taken a nosedive, and really, really frustrates me. I know I'm getting older, but there's things that I don't have time to get into it. So 50% said it's gotten better. So maybe I'm wrong. So let me know what you think by emailing me or tweeting at me. Has apps gotten better or worse, do you think, in the last 5 years or so? Let me know. Also, one of my latest books, David McCarter, Coding Standards for Microsoft.NET, is out on Amazon. I hope you go check it out. It's all .NET 5, and it works with .NET 6, of course. And if you don't use coding standards, which most teams I work in don't, I hope you'll pick up a copy of my book to get you started in that. So here's some geek humor for the day. Friday evening, working. Perfect. I'll finish on Monday morning. What does this mean? That's me like every day. I get up in the morning, I completely forgot what I did the day before. So I take a lot more notes these days. So anyway, I thought that was funny. I hope you'll help me help the kids in India. My latest GoFundMe is that link right there. And this weekend, I'm going to donate almost $500 to the Voice of Slum. I've been able to raise $471 through this campaign, and I also owe them money because all of the profit from my coding, my code performance book goes to the Voice of Slum too, and I owe them some money for that. So I'm going to be sending them about $500 or so probably tomorrow. And so I hope you will help me help the kids that I visited in the orphanage in the Delhi slum when I was there in 2019. If you don't want to go through me, please go to their website, voiceofslum.org, and donate there. They need everything from not only money, but they need clothing for the kids and books and things like that. So I hope you'll help them out. Thanks for watching. We're off next week because I'm going to be getting ready for the .NET Virtual Conference I'm really excited about. And we'll be off the week after that because I thought I'd be recovering. So the next show will be Jeremy Clark. My good friend Jeremy Clark used to live in Southern California. He's the man on dependency injection and async and await and things like that. So I hope you'll join the show on February 5th. That'll be the next show that we have. Please be safe. Listen to your medical professionals. I actually heard on the radio, Blood Bank is begging people for blood. Please go donate blood at your local blood bank. No matter where you are, no matter what country you're in, everybody is in a shortage right now. And so every donation that you make can help 3 people. So please think of that. And it's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Just costs you a half hour of your time. And that makes you feel better, like you're helping another fellow human. And what's better than that? Someone said, when are you coming back to India? I don't know. I'm really sorry. I don't think it's going to be this year. I'm really, really bummed. I miss India so much. And I miss all my followers and friends in India. And stop, I'm getting teary-eyed. All right. please email suggestions and what guests you want me to be on the show. If you like the show, you don't like the show, please email that to rockincodeworld@csharpcorner.com. And with that, I'll see you in a couple weeks. Don't forget about the virtual conference in 9 days. See ya.